Good morning everyone, Grant Davidson back with you once again, your usual Friday webinar. Phil, thank you all very much for joining, and today we've got a particularly exciting one for you guys. We're going to be having a look at PDM here. So what's it all about then? You've seen the articles, you've heard it mentioned in passing, but what is it all about and how can it benefit you? Well, first off, let's speak a bit about what PDM actually is. So PDM is product data management. It's the solution built right into SOLIDWORKS to help you manage your data. How critical is it? Well, here is a direct quote that I actually had from a customer said to me during one of our rollout events. It made me laugh, and I think it sums up the role of having an effective PDM system quite well. It was said that working with CAD without having a PDM system in place is like riding a bike without a helmet. You don't want to be that guy, and you don't know you need it until you fall off. As I say, it made me smile. Obviously a little bit of a silly example, but it does sum it up quite nicely, the role of a PDM system in the background. So what's in it for you? What can it do for you? And you know, how does it work? What can it offer you that your standard Windows Explorer way of working can't right now? Well, you're probably reading through this yourself by now, but some of the things are secure file storage. First and foremost, how do you store your files and how do you know that they're secure? How do you know certain people can or cannot get access to them and so on? Version and revision control. What happens if a file gets overwritten? What happens if you accidentally overwrite a file? What happens if it goes missing and so on? How do you retrieve that? User access rights play a part as well. How do you know the correct people have access to the correct files? Easy searching and reporting, and a byproduct of using the likes of a PDM system is that you get an automated audit trail as well, which is a really nice kind of byproduct to have. Now, jumping into SOLIDWORKS here, guys, what today's webinar is all about is giving you guys a good overview of PDM. So what I've done here, I've included a bit of the admin side, I've included quite a bit of the user side, so you guys should go away from this today knowing exactly what a PDM system is and what it could be doing for you. So let's first jump into the administrator side. Now, just to reiterate here, guys, this is not an area that everyone will have access to. You can see here, if I click on my administration tool, it opens up a separate application. So what is this we're looking at? Well, your PDM administrator is the person who will take charge of the vault. They're the one who perform maintenance on it. They're the one who probably set it up, and they're the one who can add additional users and so on. So not everyone will use this side, if I can just make that clear. However, it does or can be beneficial to see the background of it. So that's exactly why I'm showing you. So you can see over my left hand side here, I've got multiple vaults on this machine, and we also have our own in-house TMS vault. Now, I'm going to use my training vault for this one, and my password and login here, well, I don't have a password on it because I don't store anything particularly important in here, so I'm just going to log in with the standard admin username. However, usually that would be password protected to stop anyone getting access who maybe shouldn't be in there. Now, when I do log in, you can see here my tree expands out for my training vault, and I've got lots of different stuff here, guys. However, we've only got 15 minutes today, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and hit the key points for you. If you have any additional questions, by all means, we can speak about them a bit later. However, let's have a look first of all at the users. Users make it happen. So let's expand out the users section and have a look at this. I've got lots of users in my vault here. Engineers, we have managers, and we have manufacturing as well. Now, again, guys, just let me point this out. For the purposes of just keeping things nice and straightforward today, the users in my vault are called Engineer 1, Engineer 2, Manager 2, 3, and so on. Usually this would be the person's name, so it would look a bit more familiar, a bit more friendly when we see Dave and Jim and Steve in there. However, we have engineers, managers, and manufacturing. And if I click on each individual profile, I can pull up key information about that person. So their phone number, their website, their email address, who the person actually is. I can store all that information in there if I like. You can see that mine is fairly Spartan. That's because it's just the kind of default install. Now, if I click on the admin user here, please excuse the 90s tastic photo. but you can see we have the same thing. I can go ahead and set up folder permissions, state permissions, transition permissions, and the reason I can do that on a user by user basis is, well, think about it. Obviously our admins and our managers, we maybe want them to have more access than we do our engineers or our manufacturing guys. They maybe don't need quite as high a level of access as the admin does. So we can set that up on a user by user basis. Now from there, guys, you're probably thinking that's a lot of work. You know, we have 20, 30 employees here. Do we need to do that for everyone? No, absolutely not. Have a look at where my mouse cursor is now. So the groups area, this can be really, really handy because it means I can set up my engineering, my management, and my manufacturing groups. Those are just the three that I'm using here, by the way, guys. If yours is slightly different or you have a slightly different setup or hierarchy in your company, not a problem. It's really flexible and we can account for that. However, what this allows us to do, using the groups I mean, is assign different permissions to several users at once. So it keeps the setup quick and easy. And you can see here, if we go into the management group, again, they maybe have different state and transition permissions from manufacturing, for instance. Now, the beauty behind PDM is, as I keep saying here, it's entirely flexible. If we have a look at this, it's all based around workflows. Now, as you can see in my workflows drop down here, I've got 3 different workflows. That is CAD files, I've got documents, and I've got one for engineering change orders. We're only going to focus on my CAD files here, guys. Let me pull this up and show you my own way of working, or my company's way of working, let's say. So this is just quite a simple example of a workflow. So when a user starts a new document, it goes into the work in process. They can then transition it through by submitting it for approval. It goes into a pending approval state where a manager can then release the documents, at which point they become released and they can be used. However, the manager can also reject them. If there's something not right, they can send it back to work in process, at which point the appropriate engineer will be notified of that and can make the changes. They can also issue a new release. A lot of design work is derivative, so that's quite a common thing to have in there, being able to create a new release of an item. Or you can also say no approval required. If you're just looking to pass a document right through and a manager authorizes that, then you can do that. You can just pass that straight through. Okay, so where are we going to go from here then, guys? Well, let's give you your very first look at the client side of PDM. Now remember, everything you've seen there is on the administrator side. So not everyone will see that. As I say, that's only the person who manages the vault will see that. However, let me show you how it will appear to you as the user. Now in my Windows Explorer, you can see I've got access to my 3 different vaults here. Now it's my training vault that I'm interested in here, and I'm going to log in as Engineer 1. Again, that would probably more likely be my name, but for the purposes of just keeping this simple, it's just Engineer 1. And as you can see, I've got a nice neat setup in my training vault here. Now, if I start clicking in any of these folders, it works just like Windows Explorer. I'm going to double click. You can see in my projects, I've got several different projects running. And if I want to go in here and have a look at some of the files, again, as you can see, there's absolutely nothing scary about it. My files are there, and if I want to go ahead and get a bit more information on them, I just need to click on it and get a load of this, guys. Look at the added functionality that PDM will give us right in our Explorer interface. We get an eDrawings preview straight off the bat, included with all our different properties about that file. In our data card, which by the way is completely customizable to you as well, we get things like project number, the grill type. Well, my pseudo company here manufactures different barbecue grills, so we get grill type. We have document number, description, material, lots of different metadata, as well as the current status of this document. So this one's been released, this has been passed through the workflow, it's been released and can now be used. You can also see there the little Acme logo. I've actually got my company's logo in there. Again, Acme, just a made-up company for the webinar. I've also got version information in here, so what is my local version, what's the latest version in the vault. Under my bill of materials tab, I can go ahead and view my bill of materials. Under contains, I can see which parts are contained in here. And here's a really useful one, guys, where used. I can actually ask where this is being used. So you can see here I've got referenced drawings, I've got sub-assemblies, and I've got main assemblies. So I can see all that without even opening the file. Try that in Windows Explorer. Not going to happen. Really, really handy that, guys, and definitely worth being able to see straight off. Now let's say I want to open this file up. First thing I'm greeted with is this checkout dialog. Now, checking a file out, what that means is I am essentially taking ownership of that file. I'm taking it, I'm gaining right access to that file, and no one else can use it while I'm in that state. If I click on cancel, what it's going to do here is it's still going to open the file, but it opens it in a read-only state. That means it's still in the vault. Other users can access it and edit the file. I've got read-only access here, which means I can only view it. So if I try and make a change to it, it's going to tell me you've not checked this file out from your PDM vault, so it's not going to allow you to make any changes. Now let's say I do actually need to make a change here. We'll close that down. Let's reopen it here from the vault, and in that checkout dialog, we'll go ahead and check out the top level assembly. Let's check that out and try making that change again. Now I've got the file checked out. It means no one else can access it. I've got the sole right access to that file. So I can go ahead and make any changes and save that back to the vault. What that then means, guys, is no one gets caught doing duplicate work. Have you ever been in the scenario where you've made a change to a file and your colleagues not quite realised that you're working on it? There's been a bit of ambiguity between you, and what's happened is you both ended up doing the work, saving the file back. It ends up in a bit of a mess. Doesn't happen with the PDM system because one person gets the sole right access until they check it back into the vault. So it's a much more cleaner way of working. Now, once I'm finished, I've added my change, I want to check this back into the vault. Have a look at where my mouse cursor is now, guys. In our task pane, we actually get our very own little PDM, as it's affectionately known, the little blueberry icon. If we expand that out, I can actually check it in straight from the interface here. I don't even need to bother going to my Explorer interface. So really, really handy there, guys. Now, that was just a really quick first view of it from a user and an admin perspective. What we're going to do now, guys, I'm going to give you more of a look at it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of role play here. So if you can imagine, I'm still Engineer 1 who works for a barbecue grill manufacturer. And I'm looking to go ahead and kick off a new project. How am I going to do that? So probably a similar situation to what you've found yourselves in the past. How do we kick off this new project? Let me show you the PDM way. I'm going to go into my vault here. Once again, I'm going to I'm going to log in, and I'm going to go in as Engineer 1. Now, once I log in, once again, you can see all my file structure and so on. I'm going to go to my projects area, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to say New Project. Now, because my admin has been very good, and he's already set me up with my project template, I get greeted with this. Look at that. The key information that we require for every project that we run is fronted to us, and we can start inputting this information straight away. So the customer in this case is going to be Dassault Systems Waltham. This is going to be a stand-up charcoal grill type. The project manager on this occasion is going to be Manager 1, and the grill size, this is going to be a 424 square inch charcoal grill. So I'll go ahead and choose that, click OK, and have a look at this power, guys. When I go into that project folder, it's already populated all my storage locations. So the way that I like to work, I like to have my CAD files, my emails, miscellaneous, sort of different folder, and my specification. That's all pre-populated for me from the get-go, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, just as it happens, this morning, guys, I've been working on the new cook grate design that's going to be used in this barbecue. So as you can see here, I've got my file, I've finished it, pretty happy with it. I'm ready to go ahead and check that into the vault for the manager to have a look at and potentially approve. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Windows Explorer here. I'm going to find where I put that cook grate, and I'm just going to copy it here. I'm going to go right click and copy. Now in my vault folder, I'm going to go in here, and under CAD files, I'm just going to paste this right into the vault, guys. It's that simple. So we're going to paste it into the vault. You can see PDM prepares the file for secure storage, and we're going to go ahead and check this in. Have a look at that as well, guys. Just before we do that, this amazes me how well it does it, but you can see straight away we get our preview, and it's extracted all those properties as well. You know how much time it takes to go ahead and input them to an Excel spreadsheet? Yeah, you probably do actually. So it's extracted all that straight away, and we're just going to go ahead and check this in. Now I'm going to check it in. Optionally, I can add a comment if I like. I'm not going to in this case. I'm just going to check it straight in. So we've now checked that in, and we want to say to the manager, hey, we've been busy. Can you have a look at this and please approve it? So I'm going to right-click and I'm going to go Submit for Approval. Let's put a nice comment. We'll butter them up a little bit. Hopefully he just approves this design straight through and we don't need to do anything else with it. So we'll say the new cook grate design and please approve as the notification comment. And just to save all the managers being bothered by this, we'll just check manager 1 because I know he's the one who's assigned to this particular project. We'll OK that, and PDM does the rest of the work for us. So all looking good so far. What I'm now going to do then, guys, is have a look at this in my data card. You can see it's now went to pending approval, so it will sit in that state until the manager approves it, and that is the version 1. Now what we're going to do here, guys, just to show you how this workflow, how it actually transitions through, we're actually going to log out of the vault and we're going to go in as manager 1. So if you can imagine, we're going to see the other side of it here. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. Let's go log off. I'm going to log off engineer 1 and we're going to go back into that vault now. So I'm going to go into my training vault. This time I'm going to log in as manager 1, hit login, takes us straight in, and look at this, SOLIDWORKS PDM notification. We're going to pull that up. You can see there, new cook grate design, please review for approval. Okay, fair enough. I could go ahead and click on the link there that's going to take me straight to the file, but in this case, not going to bother. I'm just going to go straight into my project and know where he's been working on this. So let's go in, make sure he's worked on it all right. We can maybe just use the preview window. Alternatively, we could open it in SOLIDWORKS with read access and have a look. But that's all looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that one. Let's click on it. Let's go change state. As you can see, the manager here has a different set of state approvers. So the engineer has the option to submit it for approval. The manager can either reject or release those documents. I'm going to say, okay, you've done a great job here. Let's release these documents. Great job. Well done. Under the notification, I'm just going to go ahead and say very simply approved. So that's now done, all looking good. And again, if we go back to the data card, you can see that's now updated with the current status, which is approved. So all very good there. Now then, guys, think back to this. I'm going to open up the admin tool just for a moment. And remember that I built in, well, our admin built in, the ability to issue a new release. Well, as the manager here, what I've decided is we now need a new release of this file. The one he done was great, but the customers come back and as they intend to do it, they've requested an additional change. So I want to issue this as a new release. Not a problem in my PDM system. It's made for this. We're going to go to change state and we're going to say new release now. Now under this, I'm just going to say, can you please go ahead and make the customer requested changes? And under notification, let's just put change required. And again, we'll go ahead and notify engineer 1 of this. Click OK. And that's now done. You can see it returns to work in progress, work in process, and the revision and version is now went to 2, if you notice that on my data card there as well, guys. So let's log out once again. And we're going to log back in as engineer 1 and have a look at it from their point of view once more. So rather than manager 1, let's log in engineer 1. Once again, guys, you probably know how this is going to look once we log in, but straight away, PDM notification, if we click on that one, please make customer requested changes and notification change is required. Okay, fair enough. Well, we can go back in and what we're going to look to do here, guys, is make that change. Once we make that change, we're going to check it back in and I'm going to show you the power behind being able to retrieve a previous version file in a PDM system, something you may struggle with at the moment. So here is the cook grate. We're going to go ahead and make a quick change to it. There we go. I've just, through the powers of video trickery, I've just went ahead and automated that change there, guys. The change has been made. So let's go ahead and check that back in now. And we'll just go ahead and say, okay, we've made the changes. Maybe we want to spell correctly. And the changes on this one, guys, it's basically just a larger set of mesh that's going to be used on it, so we'll check that one back in. And now what we're going to do, once more here, guys, we're going to have a look at this and see that the revision has now went to revision 3. Still a work in process, but that will soon become pending approval because we've went ahead and checked that back into the vault once more. As you can see there, guys, it's now went to version 3 of 3, if you have a look at that in the sidebar there. Now, this is quite common here, guys. What we're going to look to do is we're going to revert back to a previous version file. So at the minute, obviously that change has been made, it's been checked in. So we have, in essence, we've overwritten the old file. However, what happens if we need to retrieve a previous file? So we want to go right back to the beginning. Well, it's as simple as right-clicking the file and saying get. You'll then get a dialog which looks like this. So it's currently checked out. Do you want to replace it? If I just say yes to all, we can go ahead and revert straight back to a previous file. So really, really powerful, allows us to go back and get that previous file. Nothing is lost in our vault. So guys, just a quick summary there of what you guys seen. Unfortunately, we have used up all our time and then some this morning. Apologies about that. So that was the basic principles of a PDM system. We had a look at an admin overview of the users, the groups and the workflow. We had a look at the user overview of the workflow from file creation to issuing out a new release as a manager. And we seen at the end there previous revision retrieval. So lots of really, really powerful tools. I hope you guys take a lot from that and really enjoyed that webinar. And as I say, guys, unfortunately we are out of time today. However, as ever, any questions, any comments, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. The email address is on screen there at the moment. I'll leave it there for now. But for now, guys, that's all for me, and have a great weekend. Cheers.